Once upon a time, a little girl became very sick and lost all her memories. She was empty as the day she was born. But in that dark emptiness, the voice of God spoke, "Walk, talk, heal." And by grace through faith, she did. Soon, the girl was even fuller and more alive than before her forgetting. But the voice of God continued to speak to her, and soon he commanded, "Heal others as I have healed you. Teach them the power of faith, that it may connect them to me and my power." My name is Robin Renee Wilson, and that little girl was me. For the last 35 years, through my relationship with God, I have participated in many miracles of healing, prophecy, and deliverance. None of these should be possible, but that is God's way. You can accomplish anything, heal the deepest wounds, and create doors where there were only walls, if you simply trust in faith over facts. Hi, I am Robin Renee, and welcome to Faith Over Facts. Today I have a special guest, Catina. Welcome, Catina.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. And I'm super excited. Today we're going to talk about her journey, her testimony, how she survived cancer. And I just wanted to, Catina, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a single mom, and I'm 50 years old. But when I was 49 years old, September 26th to be exact, I was told that I had stage 3 cancer. After a year and a half of discussing my issues with doctors, and they kept on telling me, it's not cancer. Cancer doesn't run in your family. You're too young. It's perimenopausal, UTIs, even though everything came out negative. And I was just asking for an ultrasound. I was with a HMO. I don't want to say the name, but I was with an HMO. And I felt like I had an ovarian cyst. And I just said, can you please just do an ultrasound?
Yes.
And they said, no, you're fine. I'm like, I've had them before. I know what they feel like. I just want to make sure they're not cancer. And they're like, no, you're fine. You're fine. And I went through 5 different major doctors, and none of them would really listen to me until even when I had a colonoscopy 3 months before I got diagnosed. And when I woke up, he said, there is a mass resting on your colon. And I said, well, that doesn't sound good. Should I follow up? Should I have a scope or anything? I mean, that when you hear colon and mass, does not sound good.
Yes.
And he basically said, he was a young doctor, basically said, nah, it's probably just a scar tissue that your gynecologist said was left over from your C-section from 14 years ago. I said, how much scar tissue can be resting on my colon?
Yes.
It didn't make sense. So I said, can you please send all my paperwork and my images to my GI doctor, because I had one at that time, and review it just to make sure. I just want to double check.
Yes.
He said, oh, sure, no problem. About 7 weeks went by, didn't hear anything. So I made an appointment with my GI doctor, and he goes, what are you doing here? We did your colonoscopy. Like, he was shocked, and I'm like, I'm paying you, so you just really need to just listen to me, because regardless if I'm here or not, you're still getting paid.
Yes.
And I just said, I just want to go over my results, because the doctor mentioned there was a mass when I came to. And I go, did you guys had a chance to review it? Anything? He goes, oh, you're fine. I go, but I'm really bloated. I go, I'm losing weight, but I look like I'm 5 months pregnant.
Wow.
And then he goes, so that's not your normal belly weight? And I said, no. And then he goes, well, he wanted me to go over my diet. And I was trying to eat healthy because I was trying to lose weight because I was getting this belly out of nowhere. And he basically said to lay off the cauliflower and broccoli and do peppermint oil. And my visit with him was 7 minutes.
Wow.
It's just 7 minutes. And I'm like, do I need to do any kind of follow-up? He goes, no, you're fine. Just do the peppermint oil, and that should help with the bloating. And just lay off the cauliflower and broccoli.
So what did he want you to do with this peppermint oil?
That's it. The pills. Just take them daily 4 times a day. That's supposed to help with, I guess, bloating. So I did do that. I went to Target. I bought the peppermint oil. I did everything. And then literally 6 weeks after that, I was at a play in Pantages Theater with my friend. And I was sitting down, we were having brunch, and my tummy looked like it was so big, like close to, like I really looked like I was pregnant. And it was hard for me to breathe, but I made it through the day. And my friend, who's my best friend, she's like, maybe it's your gallbladder. And I said, maybe. I went to urologist, gynecologist, GI doctor, everything. And nobody really had a straight answer with me. So I said, I'll go to the ER tomorrow. And I went to urgent care, and I had self-diagnosed myself by Google, which I don't recommend anybody doing that. But I thought all the symptoms I had was my gallbladder. So I thought for sure that they were going to tell me it's my gallbladder, it's going to burst, blah, blah, blah. So when I went into the urgent care, they referred me directly to ER because I told them my stomach is very, and no, that's not normal. I said no, and they like filled around and said, okay, then we got to get you to ER.
Yes.
So they got me in there, and I was literally there for 7 hours. They did like PET scans, ultrasounds, x-rays, everything that I've been asking for since October of 2021.
Wow.
And so 6 hours later, the lady comes in, who was very nice to me. Everybody in the ER was extremely nice to me. And she came out, she sat down, and she shut the curtain. And I'm thinking, okay, she's going to tell me it's my gallbladder. In my head, I was sold that it was my gallbladder. She came and she sat next to me, and she goes, well, after so many tests, there were some images that are very disturbing to me, and there is a huge mass. And then I'm thinking, is it a cyst? I was never thinking she was going to tell me cancer. I go, I knew it. I knew it. I've been trying to get the doctors to tell me I had a cyst. And I'm still thinking she's just going to give me birth control pills because that's normally what they did in the past to dissolve cysts to make them shrink.
Yes.
And she goes, no, it's a lot more serious than that. And then she had this strange look on her face, and I just looked at her, and I'm in my gown, my big old socks hanging out the thing, and then she goes, I'm sorry, and then she goes, it's a huge mass. And I looked at her, I'm like, are we talking cancer here? And she goes, yes, I'm sorry. And at that time, I literally felt like I was going down a rabbit hole, like, wait a minute, because I sold it on myself that I thought I had my gallbladder.
Yes.
And I said, no, I go, that's not, I go, read my chart. I go, I've been going to doctors since October 2021 asking for help, and they blamed it on perimenopausal issues or just that's life. It's something you have to just learn to live with, pretty much. The mood swings, the weight gain, because I was 49 at the time.
Yes.
And I said, read my chart. And she basically told me, for the last 30 minutes, I was reading your notes and saying, oh my God, we let her down. And then she's all, what can I do for you? I said, there's nothing you can do for me. I go, I can't believe I have cancer. I go, I went through so many different doctors, asking for an ultrasound back in February.
Yes.
They told me no. I go, and now you're telling me I have cancer? And she kept on telling me, what can I do for you? And I said, well, if you're going to tell my 14-year-old son that his mom has cancer, and are you going to support me for the next how long, half year, whatever treatment is, and are you the one's going to lose your hair? I said, no, I am. And I said, and she goes, I'm really, really sorry. And I felt that she was really sorry. I felt her concern. I felt her heart was breaking.
That's probably why you had to have that particular doctor.
Yeah. And I felt she wasn't just another doctor. I felt her compassion towards me.
Yes.
And she made a comment, and she said, I'm on the board of this HMO. And she said, I'm going to report your case because there was a lot of errors made on your behalf.
I love that.
And then I said, and then at that time, that just makes me more pissed off because I'm like, you guys are professional doctors. I come here for your expertise to tell me and guide me. And then I just started crying, And then I called my son's father, and I told him, I go, it's cancer. And he's all, what? So sorry if I get emotional.
No, it's okay.
So, and he was like, what are you talking about? I said, they told me. I go, I've been coming to the doctors for 1.5 years, and they haven't told me anything near for cancer. They didn't even do a blood test, anything, nothing. They just said, no, you don't have it. It doesn't run in your family. So they totally just pushed it out the door. So when she came in, she explained to me, she wasn't an oncologist. She was just an ER doctor. She was in charge of the ER that day. And she just told me, put in a referral for an oncologist. They should call you back. Yes. And then she waited, and they gave me an appointment for 3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, are you kidding me?
I already waited.
Yeah, 3 weeks.
No more waiting.
I said, I waited since October 21.
Yes.
And we don't know what stage it is. Yes. And I'm this big. I go, you want me to wait 3 weeks knowing that I have cancer? I go, how come? That's torture.
Yes.
And she goes, I'm really sorry. And she goes, that's all we can do for you right now. And then my stomach was really bloated, and she told me to come back in 2 days if the pain in my stomach doesn't go down. And it didn't, so I went back the next Wednesday. I got diagnosed on a Monday, went back on Wednesday. I had a different ER doctor who was not as compassionate as the original doctor. And when she came in like it was COVID 2020, like full mask, body,
wow.
like a movie scene.
Wow.
And everybody else was just normal, just a regular mask, And then she came in, and she had no compassion in her eyes. I think she's been a doctor so long that her soul has pretty much left her body.
Oh, left.
Or left the building.
Left. Wow.
It was just, to her, I can see it was just numbers. Like, I was just, her eyes were just, because she was covered up. Like I said, she was in full gear. And then she told me, and I was told I could come in here and get my stomach drained because it's very painful and I can't breathe. And she goes, okay, we will. And then she goes, you do know you have stage 4 cancer. And I said, no. I'm like, no, I don't. Because over that night, I did like my research, you know. And I said, we don't know what I am. I go, are you an oncologist? She said, no. And I said, then don't tell me what you think it is. If you're not an oncologist, I go, find me an oncologist right now so he can tell me and he can diagnose me. If not, I said, I'm going to put your name on the long list of doctors I'm suing at this organization for negligence. I go, so unless you want to be on that list, I suggest you give me an oncologist. And then she goes, well, I don't know how to find one. Literally, that's what she told me. And we are in the ER in a major hospital that probably has 3,000 beds in it. And then I was like, you don't know how to work a directory? I said, is that above your pay grade? And I was being really snotty with her. I said, if that's above your pay grade, bring me the directory. I will look for it myself, and I will call an oncologist to come down here. I go, because you are not authorized to tell me I have stage 4 when there was no, other than the x-rays, there was nothing, you know. And then this is the part that really got me, is that she thought I was being rude to her, which I wasn't. I was not being rude. I just said, just give me, in my head, I was being very matter of fact. So she left the room. The nurses came back, and the nurses said, you kind of offended her. I said, I did. And I said, well, I'm upset here. I have cancer, bottom line. And then she goes, well, you're going to have 2 male doctors now to review your case, because she stepped down from it. And I said, why did she step down? She goes, you insulted her. And I said, well, does she think if she's giving me 2 male doctors, I'm going to bow down? I said, I have cancer, and these doctors that I've seen are not going to push me away, and I'm angry. And I was insulted, thinking, okay, because I'm a woman, that another woman thought, let me throw a man in there, and maybe she'll settle down and not be so angry with me. Nope. A man came in, I treated him the same way, you know, and he admitted to me and said, there was mistakes made in your case. So every single doctor I saw from September 26th on to my treatment all said the same thing. There was mistakes, a lot of mistakes done. What can I do for you? And I'm like, everyone just needs to stop telling me that. And when the third person finally told me that, I said, you know what? I go, I'm not just a case number. I said, my name is Catina. I am Jackson's mom.
I love that.
I go, are you a mom? And she didn't say anything to me. I go, well, I am a mom. And I go, and I'm Jackson's mom, not anybody else. I said, so when you see me, don't see me as a number. See me as someone's mother.
Yes.
And she's like, I'm really sorry. And I'm like, I'm done with the sorries. You know, and that was, then I started my journey. Then the nurse, the original doctor who left my case, she came back towards the end and apologized to me for leaving me. And then I told her, I go, look, my war is not with you. Exactly. Individually. My war is with the organization that you work for, and how they treated me and ignored me for the last, 15 months?
Yes.
I said, so I apologize for being that way, because I'm not a mean person.
Not at all.
When people try to belittle me or just try to act like I don't really mean anything to them, like, you know, I'm gonna use my voice and everything else that this 4'10" body has to give. You know, and I got my appointment moved up for a week ahead. So that was, but that whole week that you're waiting for your doctor's appointment, every single thing is going through your mind. Like, am I going to survive this? Yes, I'm going to survive it. No, I'm going to die. Oh my God, I'm going to die. I'm going to die bald. I'm going to do this. You know, everything's going through your head.
Yes.
And I'm grateful that I had a great support team, including my son's father.
Yes.
We had been apart since he was born. But we do a pretty good job co-parenting, and he stood by me, and he was angry at the doctors and everything. So he was there for me.
Yes.
And a little side note, that means I got to be nice to him for a year. I can't say anything bad about him for at least a good year, because he was, you know,
so supportive.
He was being very supportive. So I was extremely grateful for that. And, you know, the process just started, and I was just, you're scared to death. Yes. He told my son, and his grandmother, who passed away, but she survived cancer 4 times. She was a very strong woman. Yes. So my son, even though you have cancer, you can survive this, because grandma survived it 4 times.
Yes.
You know, so he had that in his, you know, mom's going to be okay because grandma did it, you're going to do it.
Yes.
And he always says that, he goes, Mom, you're little, but you're strong.
Yes.
And people are afraid of you. And I'm like, I don't want people to be afraid of me. It's just like people, I'm not one to just sit down and smile and look pretty.
Exactly.
You know, I'm your protector, Jackson. I go, I'm here to protect you.
Yes.
I can't protect you if I'm sick, but I'm still going to protect you.
Yes.
And that's pretty much it. And then when they finally got in, I got 3 opinions. I went to 3 different doctors I knew I had cancer. There was no denial. I just wanted to discuss my options, like my next follow steps. And after my 3rd doctor, we agreed to do chemo first, surgery, and then chemo again. And then right now, my last chemo was February 28th.
Okay.
But I'm on chemo pills I have to do for the next 2 years.
Yes.
So I'm out of it, but I'm still doing chemo on a daily basis, a pinch of chemo every day, just to make sure the cancer doesn't come back. Because I am BRCA, which means I have a 75% chance within 2 years of my first diagnosis of cancer to get breast cancer. So in 2 years, once I'm done with my chemo pills, I have to have a double mastectomy. I don't have to, but they highly recommend it. And I'm going to try it my hardest to avoid going through everything. So if the boobs have to go, the boobs have to go. Boobs will go. They did their purpose. They fed my child. They were fun in my 20s, you know, but now I'm just like, it's just about survivor mode. So your vanity, everything goes out the door.
Yes.
You just have to surrender to that. And that was the hard part, was surrendering, because I'm not one to give up, and I'm very stubborn. I'm very stubborn. So, and I like to not necessarily take control of the situation, but take control of the situation when it comes to my life, my situations, my choices.
Yes.
I don't like anybody telling me what to do about them or directing me in a way that favors them in a way. So I just, you know, I was just going through it, and you just have to, when I found out, I was like obviously scared. And then I had a conversation with myself. I stared in the mirror and I said, you got this. You got this. It's going to be ugly for the next year and a half, but you got this. You're going to have to wait. A year and a half went by so fast that you thought something was wrong. Just give yourself another year and a half and you're going to heal. And then they asked you to cut your hair.
Yes.
So they said it's less traumatic if you cut your hair, especially because I had really long hair down to my waist. And so I went to my hairdresser of 20 years, and I told I need a bob. What they were talking about, they wanted me to cut my hair like G.I. Jane.
Yes.
I wasn't ready to do that.
Yes, you hit stages.
I need to do stages. It was too much drama coming on around me, so I just gave myself a little bob. I went through my first chemo, and 13 days after my first chemo, the hair just started falling off. And that was so traumatic for me, because it was like a movie scene. Like you still feel like you have an out-of-body experience. Like, this is not me. This is not my hair. I'm not pulling my hair out and just falling out. So I called a girlfriend of mine who is a cancer survivor.
Yes.
She's like a big sister to me. I called her because she told me, when the time comes, let me do it for you.
Okay.
And I called her. I was crying my eyes out. She came over. She took me out to lunch. We talked about it. And then we went back to my bathroom. I sat on my toilet, and I said, just do it. And I stopped crying because I said, I accepted it, that I'm done. I mean, this is it.
You had to release it.
I had to release it. There's nothing I can do. I had to just surrender. I'm losing my hair. So she started buzzing my hair off, and she was crying. The whole entire time she was crying. And I'm like, it's okay. Oh my God, I'm so emotional. I'm so sorry. I told her, I'm okay. I'm okay. And then I looked in the mirror. I'm like, okay. You look like, excuse me, you look like G.I. Jane. You look like you're a soldier, and you're going to go off to war. And that's how I told myself.
That's exactly what happened. You had to go to war.
Yeah, and I told myself, I look like a soldier.
And I'm going
And
to
soldiers
war.
Don't quit.
That's it. You have to keep moving.
And I'm not a military person. We have a couple militaries, so I just told myself, you're a soldier. You're going to do this. And I just accepted it. Amen. You know, I put my beanies on. I did all that. And after my treatments were 3 weeks apart. So after my second one, I was completely bald.
Okay.
It came all off. And I was like, all right, well, you know, I bought a wig. I bought a really nice wig, and I was wearing that. And there was one incident where I went to my local Target, and I had a beanie on, and I had a mask on because, you know, your immunity is shot to hell. And these 2 moms were right behind me, and I heard them say, like, look at her. why is she wearing her mask? COVID's over, lady. Like that.
Wow.
Just totally rude. And they probably didn't think that they were talking so loud that I can hear them. So I looked at them because I was, I have all these emotions. And I pulled down my mask and I told her, I said, I'm going to pull down my mask so there's no confusion here. I won't say what I called her, but I said, I have cancer, you stupid. And I'm protecting myself against idiots like yourself. And then I put the mask back on. And the guy behind her started clapping for me. And then the cashier, which I feel bad for her, she's like, are you okay? And then I just looked at them and they were just shocked. And they were just like trying to give me the side eye and everything. And I looked at them, I said, you know what? God bless you. And I left. But then when I got in my car, I just cried because I'm like, people are so... They don't know, and that gave me, like we always say, you don't know what's happening in someone's life.
Exactly.
You don't know. So I think that one really hit me because I'm like, these women have, because at that time
I had no idea.
I didn't really look sick. I had a beanie on. I still had a little bit of hair that was peeking through. I still had my eyelashes, my eyebrows, my coloring was still normal. They had no idea. So I was,
but it doesn't matter if you wanted to wear the mask.
Mind your own business. Stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane. And I think that's
lane.
one of the most important things that we need to do as individuals, as people, is to learn to stay in our own lane. Because you don't never know when it could be, you'll be in that same situation. You don't know. But learn to stay in your own lane and learn to love. And have compassion and stay in your lane and just if you have a heart of love and not judgment and not throwing things, it's just, I just really feel like a lot of times in life, people tend to just are angry, heartless, and they just, or trying to show off in front of their friends, just to have something to say. And I feel like in this situation, they just wanted to be funny with each girl. COVID's over, teasing, and making, but it wasn't that serious.
No.
Sometimes you never know if someone is about to break. I remember being in Starbucks one day. No, it was Coffee Bean, and I was getting my coffee, and it was a lady there, and she was in the process of getting her coffee, and Holy Spirit told me to tell her, this too shall pass. Just like that. It's going to be okay. You will be okay. And I didn't know her. She was just in a line. And I said, this too shall pass and you're going to be okay. It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
You're going to make it through this. And she looked at me and she just started crying. And she said, thank you so much. I have brain surgery tomorrow.
So it was like right there. You don't know what she was worried about or anything like that.
And she didn't have a worry on her face. My spirit just connected with her. And I just felt this Holy Spirit told me, go tell her I said that. Because that's what he does in my life as a prophet. He'll tell me to go share something with someone. And I was in line waiting for my coffee. She was in line waiting for her coffee. And I just felt the Spirit tell me to tell her that. And she looked at me and she just started crying and said, thank you. I have brain surgery tomorrow. And she said, I had it before and it was okay, but I have to go back and have it again. And I don't know why this time is so hard for me. And I literally have fear. And I believe I told her, don't fear, for God is with you. And I believe I also said that to her. And then that's when she went on to tell me how she was in the process where she had to have brain surgery. So my whole thing is, you don't know what the next person is going through. I didn't know what was going on. I follow Holy Spirit and what he shared, even how this came about with us. I was running 10 minits behind on my appointment. And I couldn't believe. And
my client was running late. That's why I was up there.
And look at how God worked it out. And because of that, and I left home on time. But because of traffic and whatever else happened, it caused me to be 10 minutes behind, which was on time, so that we can come together and we can talk about some things. And I heard your testimony and I said, I have to have you come on the show.
Yeah.
And I'm so honored that you did to share. And the Holy Spirit said, yes, I want her there. And I had just prayed a couple days prior, Lord, I really want to have another person to come and share their testimony. And look how God opened up the door. And I'm so honored that you came.
I love talking about, to me, it's therapeutic.
Yes.
Because when I started my treatment, I still had energy. It didn't hit me as bad as I thought it was going to hit me. You hear all these horror stories. I think science has moved up so fast. I'm so ahead now that they give you step 3 days before so you don't get as sick.
Yes.
And, so that was the part I was dreading, was getting sick.
Yes.
Nobody likes getting sick.
Yes.
But for me being who I am, when I'm sick, I don't have control. And so that was really hard for me, but it wasn't that bad. And I kept on waiting for it to get bad. And then my friends, they were probably just as scared as I was. My whole family lives in Texas. I have a nephew out here. But I have my chosen family, which is my village of girlfriends who are they were amazing. All of them, they all stepped up. And, they would come and see me and ask if I can do anything. And I was like, no, I'm totally fine. Because I still was going to take care of myself even though I was sick. Because I'm the kind of person is that I didn't want them to feel sorry for me. Because if they feel sorry for me, I take that personally. Because I take that personally, and I think they don't think I'm strong enough to survive this. And not that they're thinking that, but that's how my brain thinks about myself. Because I've always been so independent.
I believe that this journey, I think when we were talking, you were saying how you felt like, you didn't like I'm strong and like to be in control. And one of the things that you shared was you felt like this journey helped you realize, I'm not in control of nothing.
Exactly.
And I love when you said that. That was powerful.
And once you surrender that, there's a peace to that.
Yes.
Because you're not fighting yourself in a sense.
Yes.
And, and I had my friends and family, and they all said, I'll pray for you. I pray for you.
Yes.
And, people say that all the time.
Yes.
But how many of them really do pray for you?
Yes.
And sometimes I think, are they just saying that because they don't know what else to say to you? And then there was a couple of people, and I do have friends who are strong prayers, and I believe them. And every time I need some, I always reach out to those top 3 girls because I know
that they're going to pray.
They're going to pray. And I know who they're going to tell, they're going to pray. And I have girlfriends who didn't know what they're going to say, or acquaintances, and said, I'm going to pray for you. And back in my head, I'm like, don't tell me that, because I know you're not. I know you don't pray. I know you don't believe. But I appreciate you trying to tell me that.
Yes.
But in my heart, I know, girl, you don't pray.
Yes.
So when I told my little prayer princesses, that's what I call them, I knew that they were actually praying. And they went to church. They put my name in and they prayed. And I felt, and I prayed a lot more. I usually do like a meditation prayer, or I pray in my car every time I start it off.
Yes.
Because I just want to make sure I'm protected.
Yes.
Everybody in my car is protected. But do I pray every night? No. Prior to me having cancer, I would forget because I'm so tired and I'm a bad sleeper, But I've always grew up in prayer.
Yes.
Always ask.
Yeah, prayer.
Thank God first for what you have.
Yes.
And then you ask what you want him to help you with.
Yes.
But always thank him first.
Yes.
And when you pray.
Yes.
So with that said, I was going through my emotions. My friends were coming out, telling me, and they were helping me and everything. And then one night, early in the morning, this is where I was telling you that I was sleeping, and I don't remember my dream completely. I just remember there was people around me, and I felt love and warmth. And then for some reason, I started waking up, and when I woke up, I felt like a light was on me. A warm light was on me, and then I had like somebody was giving me a hug, but there was nobody there.
I love that testimony.
And I was just there, and I was like, the night before, I cried my eyes out before I went to bed. But that particular moment, that second when I woke up and I opened up my eyes and I felt this warm light on me. Yes. I felt happy.
Yes. And you said it was hope. You said that this sun rays came through your window, which normally
happens.
Never sun comes that way. So you knew it was something special.
Well, I stood up, because I was still laying in bed, and I've lived in my house for 10 years.
Yes.
And that's always been my bedroom. And I'm an early riser, and the sun always comes in the same direction. But this particular morning, when I woke up and I felt this warm light, I turned to my left, and there was just this ray of sunshine that went from the top of my window all the way to my where the bathroom door was. Like just, I would say like a white rainbow in a sense, just a white light. And for some reason, I told myself, get in the light. And then I rolled out of bed. And then I just stood, I put my hand in the light first just to see it. And then I went in there and I literally felt the same way when I woke up. Yes. Like there was
this warm
feeling. And right there I knew I was going to survive it. I'm like, I'm going to be okay.
So that was the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And the sun rays is basically, it really represents the Holy Spirit. That's the different rays. It represents the Holy Spirit. And we'll go deeper in that at another time. But that was the Holy Spirit coming in and healing. That's when you felt his warmth, compassion.
And I felt that,
his warmth.
I felt that, and I'm a Catholic, so I believe in angels.
Yes.
And I felt that my guardian angels were telling me,
stand there.
You're going to be okay. You're protected.
Yes.
You're surrounded by light.
Yes.
You're surrounded by light.
Yes.
And that's what I kept on telling myself. And from that moment on, I felt, okay, I just got to get through this, but I'm going to get through this.
Yes.
I'm going to get through this. And I just started crying but it wasn't scary tears that I'm scared. It was just happy that I'm going to be okay.
Because you knew it. Because once you get a glimpse of, once Holy Spirit hits you, it just brings peace. It brings calmness. It brings hope. It brings everything that you need. It brings joy. That everything that you felt prior left because you were feeling. You had some fears. You had some worries.
Doubts.
You had some doubts. You had anger. You had all of these emotions, different things, feelings that was going on that really were dark. Really, that's what the enemy does. He tries to come to kill, steal, and destroy. That tries to cause fear. But we know he's the father of lies. But you know that this God has not given us the spirit of fear, but love, power, and a sound mind.
Yeah.
And so anytime we're operating in that fear, we're operating opposite of what God has for us, which is that faith, and know that God can move mountains and can change our circumstances if we just hope and trust in Him. But the thing about it is, you automatically shifted. Everything shifted when Holy Spirit steps in. But one of the things that you said, I cried out the night before. You cried out and you prayed out unto God. He said, okay, now she's ready. I think a lot of times, I just got chills all over my body when I think about it. I could imagine how you felt that night because my spirit I just felt His presence so heavy in here right now, is how you felt that night. You just literally cried out before Him and He said, okay, my child, I'm going to hear you. And I'm going to, and sometimes He does, He will give us, I believe He's a miracle working God. He'll give us signs and wonders. And I believe He did a sign and wonder in your bedroom that morning, because one of the things that was powerful was you said, the sun never shines this direction.
To this day, it has not come through that. And I wake up in the morning looking to my left because my bathroom and everything. Nothing. I've never seen. Like I said, I lived there for almost 10 years and never has. I mean, I'm waiting for it to come back. For a different reason.
Yes.
Not because you know.
God has. One of the things that I found too. I'm gonna share this with you. He never. I can't say never because I'm not Him. But I found with God is the same today, yesterday, and forevermore. But at the same time, God doesn't really do things the same way. He never really does it the same way. Even with the children of Israel, He told Moses to snipe the rock, touch it, or hit the rock, or and one time He said, speak to the rock. But Moses went back and sniped it like He told him the first time. But He said, I said, speak this time. But Moses stopped a lot. You used the rock, so last time you told. But God doesn't move like that. He doesn't change, but He changes His methods, the way He does things, because He doesn't want us to get used to Him moving that same way. He wants us to see Him as this big God. So He's going to do it for you. It just might be different.
Yeah, and in that morning, it was after my surgery. So, I have 44 staples in my stomach at that time. And because I felt like I said, it was a warm feeling, like I was getting a hug from the sun. And I felt so happy and at peace that I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go for a walk. And I walked my little crippled body down the stairs. And I was supposed to do a 20-minute walk around the house. So I did a 20-minute walk in my neighborhood and walk. And I'm telling you, everything smelled sweeter. The sun in my face, everything. And it was kind of like a rebirth. Like I felt like, and that's what I think I mentioned to you before, like how I was getting through this and how I process, because I'm a very visual person. I see cancer as like it was the death of the old me. Because it was killing everything inside me. And I told myself, it's killing my doubt. It's killing my faith, and not necessarily my faith, but my fear. Thank you. I knew it was the other F word. The fear. And when I was looking in the mirror, like I mentioned to you when we first met, I didn't recognize myself. when you lose your hair, your eyebrows, and your eyelashes, you're just an empty shell. And my eyes lost, in my opinion, my eyes lost their glimmer, lost their hope.
Yes.
They were just dark brown eyes. And I was like, who are you? You know, and that, you literally, like I've mentioned to you, cancer takes away your vanity. Takes away your vanity. It strips you of everything. So I told myself, okay, it's getting rid of everything from this point on. Is dying with the chemo. It's dying with the cancer.
Can I share something with you? It is rebirth. And I want to share something. God speaks to me through numbers, and he shows me numbers. So since you've been speaking, he's been. So I want to share something with you. It was rebirth. So let's talk about something. How long is a woman pregnant?
9 months.
And you found out September, right? The 26th.
Yeah.
So let's say 9 is fullness finality. That's what that means. And that's put the 2 and the 6 together. Well, we know 2 is 2 or more gathering his name, and 6 is man, means man and beast. But what I want to share, when you put 2 and 6 together, what is that? That's 8. 8 means new beginning.
Oh, wow.
Rebirth. And then you said you have 44 stitches, right? And when the Holy Spirit came and the sun rays hit you through and I believe it was the sun rays, but the Holy Spirit coming into bringing healing in your body, right? 44 means chosen.
Oh, really?
Yes, my chosen one.
That's beautiful.
Yes. And if you put 4 to 4 together, what is that again?
4 to 4. Yes,
8.
Yes.
New beginning. So when you think about what God was doing, he was doing a rebirth. He was doing, but I love it was 9 means fullness, finality. He was finishing it. That's finished. We're gonna do a new thing in you.
That's beautiful, because when I got my 44 staples removed, the lady who was doing it, the NP, and I told her, I go, how many staples do I really have? I go, because you can't really look down and everything, you know. And then she goes, well, how old are you? I said, I'm 50. I go, what does that have to do with it? And she goes, usually the amount of staples that they give you is how old you are.
Wow.
I'm like, so it made me think of like a tree. The older the tree, the bigger, the more rings they have. I said, really? So when they were taking them out, they were counting them. They're all, you have 44 staples. Wow. I said, well, I'm 50. I said, maybe because I look young for my age. Maybe that I look like I'm 44, you know. But to me, when you telling me that, it was like...
It was Holy Spirit still talking to you and speaking to you and letting you know that you are chosen. And you are chosen to be Jackson's mom. And he's going to do a new thing and a fresh start in your life, a new beginning.
Yeah.
You know, and the old had to go. You know what I mean? And I believe that what God wanted to do, even through, sometimes he uses sickness to bring glory unto him. You know, he gets glory even not through our sickness. But one of the things that I'm noticing is that he wanted to get rid of some of that man of you. You know, the control, the fear, and some of these other things.
Competitive jealousy that we all have, that we're kind of ashamed that you have it. But I do believe as I got older, it's gone better, because you surrender. You don't care about the cattiness or anything like that.
Less, especially when you're 50. You're like,
I don't have time.
I'm good. You know. I love that.
Yeah, and I really felt, that's how I kept on telling myself, and that it's just, I'm getting rid of everything. It's winter. And I said, and then my last treatment was February 28th.
Wow.
And I told myself, spring's coming.
There it is.
So spring to me was a rebirth, because they told me once you're done with the chemo, your hair would start growing, things would start getting normal. It was going to take about a year for you to feel, get your full-time energy back. So when I told myself, I go, spring's coming. Spring's a rebirth. And to me, spring was always one of my... I liked spring better than Christmas sometimes, because I'm an outdoorsy girl, and I believe, and I loved Easter was always my favorite holiday. And so I tied all that together for my own sanity.
Yes.
Winter was here. Everything died. Everything's gone. Spring's coming. You're going to be a new person. And when you have cancer and you lose your hair, you don't know how your hair is going to come back. So I was there was part of me that was kind of excited, because I was like, ooh, I've always wanted curly hair.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, and it is coming in wavy. But it came in all white. And I'm like, beautiful. Oh, my Lord.
Wisdom. You went through some stuff. Now you got the wisdom.
But it was like, and it was a pretty white. And I'm like, you know what? I am not ready to surrender the color of my hair yet. The color of my hair. Give me, I'm not there yet.
It's underneath.
But I was grateful. Yeah, I was grateful that I had it. I said, well, you know what? God created hair dye, so I'm going to dye my hair.
Exactly. and what is the gray? Wisdom. You went through some things, so you gained wisdom.
So,
wow.
But...
That's beautiful.
But another thing that I did, like I mentioned, I wrote a letter
to
cancer.
Wow.
Because a lot of my friends were telling me, journal. And then I'm like, at first you're too tired or you don't know what to say and what to think. And then I started thinking about my Miss Cardi, my 12th grade creative writing teacher or English teacher. I can't remember what subject it was. And she'd always tell me, when you journal or you write a story, never lift your pen off the paper because it breaks the contact and the energy and the creativity juices. So she said, even if you stop writing, she goes, just draw little circles, draw a little picture, but don't ever lift your pen off the paper because you break your thoughts.
Wow, that's beautiful.
So
okay.
My manager, Stephanie, bought me this beautiful journal.
I love that.
Leatherback, parchment, not parchment, with that old-fashioned thick paper.
Yes.
And I started writing on there, and I'm like, the first letter was a letter to myself telling me, you're going to be okay. I know you're scared. You're going to be okay. You got this. Jackson is you're Jackson's mom. You're Jackson's mom. Don't ever forget you're Jackson's mom. That was the first letter I wrote to myself.
Wow.
The second letter I wrote was to Cancer.
Okay.
And then I wrote him a letter, and I said, you're here. I never thought you and I would dance together, I said, but you, not to take away from I use this term, you rape me of my life.
Yes.
You're trying to rape me of being Jackson's mom. And not to take that word away from actual rape victims, but that's how I felt in the sense that I had no control.
Yes.
Everything was taken away from me. I felt like Cancer was raping me in my life.
Yes.
And I said, you're not going to do that to me. You're not going to take away anything from me. And then I said something, I go, just like a rape victim, I have to learn to heal and realize this is not my fault. I didn't do anything to get cancer.
Yes.
And it's not going to win. I'm going to go on with my life. You're not going to take that from me.
Yes.
And it was like a 4-page letter I wrote to Cancer. And I can't really tell you everything right now on top of my head. I mean, I should have brought it with me, but it was just vomiting out.
I love it.
Because I had so much anger towards it.
You had to release it. Just
I had to release it. And I knew it wasn't anger towards the doctors, the family. I mean, a little bit towards the doctors who were not listening to me. But it was my letter to Cancer itself because I was so angry at it.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, you're not going to win. You are not going to win.
Yes.
I'm going to heal from this. I'm going to go out to the sun. I'm going to let the sun grow. And I said, let the sun grow me because I believe I need vitamin D and everything to heal.
Exactly.
I go, I'm going to heal and I'm going to win and you're not going to come back.
Yes.
But I literally had to write. And then maybe about 3 weeks ago, I went back and I stopped writing in my journal after my last my last chemo treatment because I was writing the stages. I lost my hair. I wrote something to that. Everything had a little category. But after February 28th, I haven't written anything in my journal because I was like, I'm moving forward.
Yes.
That was how I was feeling. I don't want to live in the past.
Exactly.
Moving forward. But I read what I wrote and it broke me down in tears because it took me back to that place, that dark place, that scary place, lonely place. Even though I always had a lot of friends coming over and trying to help me. And so it was just, I had to read it and I just lost it. But then after I'm a strong believer of let yourself cry. It's not a sign of weakness. You can't let that sadness or that anger fester inside you.
Yes.
'Cause it's going to grow like cancer.
Yes.
So I released it, and then
to do that, you'll need to turn off airplane mode.
and so I told myself, and I cried over it because, like I said, it took me back to that place. But then after that, I felt better. I'm like, I'm not there anymore. I'm here now. I'm going to move forward. So I prayed, and I said, thank you, God, for giving me the strength and the gift of today and the gift of tomorrow and in future tomorrows.
Wow.
And I appreciate that. And I always want you to surround me in that light because in my head, I'm never going to forget that warm feeling that I felt when I went into the light.
Yes.
But ever since
beautiful.
then,
Oh my goodness.
And ever
so
since then, I've been feeling, I went back to work July 1st and I was scared because I was gone for almost 9 months. And I'm an esthetician, so I have clients.
Yes.
And the girls that I work with, they're all beautiful girls. They're all sweet. They're all like friends. We're not just colleagues and stuff. And we all kind of, there's some moms in there, so we all kind of take care of each other in a way because we all know we have the same struggles. We're doing stuff on our own, blah, blah, blah. But, and I knew my clients were taken care of with my my coworkers and stuff. But there was a fear of me like, oh my God, are they going to love them? Because and switch because I've been gone for so long, even though I've had some for years. The ones that I had for years and years stayed with me. The ones I just had within the last year kind of stayed with the person that they're with, which is fine because I know they're taken care of. And that the way I saw it, I mean, I'll miss talking to them, but I'll still see them in passing or whatever.
Yes.
I took that and I turned it a different way. Instead of me saying I lost 5 clients.
Yes.
I tell myself that's opening me up to get 5 more new people.
Exactly.
Because in my line of work, I feel like we're kind of therapists, and I love what I do because I interact with somebody, and I've seen kids grow up. I've seen kids come when they were 12, go off to college, come back, and they're getting married because I've been at that particular location for 12 and a half years. So I've seen a lot. So I just told myself that's just going to open you up to meet more people. And so don't, I didn't. And the good thing is that who I lost my clients to is a really good friend of mine. She's one of my BFFs.
Okay.
So if I was going to lose my clients...
You'd rather use somebody that you know.
Somebody that I know, and I know they're in good hands.
Exactly.
And I know it was no vindictive or, okay, she's gone, I'm going to steal. It was nothing like that at all. She was actually, she supported you. Yeah, and she actually took time off to work, and she took me to 5 of my 6 chemo treatments. And she sat in that chair with me for 6.5 hours.
Beautiful.
But the funny thing is that we were sitting there, and they give you a little privacy, and everybody has somebody there with them. And her and I, we were laughing and joking a lot. And then the nurses would come in and it's like, wow, you guys are so chipper. I'm like, well, what else can we do? And then we would order DoorDash. Nobody was eating. Nobody was, everybody, it was just the nurses were wonderful there at both locations. But her and I were like, are you hungry? Let's get some hamburgers. And here I am with 2 IVs in my hand, chemo going through me. And I'm like, let's go get a hamburger. And we ordered DoorDash and we eat there. And we just, the time, it didn't feel like 6.5 hours of just sitting in the same uncomfortable chair. We just talked and ate, and it was just like we were hanging out in the office in a cubicle.
That's beautiful.
So, and then when the nurses said, she goes, you guys have so much fun here at chemo. I said, well, what else are we going to do? Like, I don't want to be sad anymore.
Exactly.
But we actually, and we looked at ourselves, we were like, what is wrong with us? Are we demented? Like, why are we laughing while we're getting chemo? Well, I'm getting chemo, and I said, well, I'd rather laugh than cry.
Exactly. You had joy. You had joy.
And I knew,
you knew that God was going to bring you out. You stood in the sun rays of the Holy Spirit was shining over you. You had peace. You knew you were going through the process, but you knew in the end you were going to be okay.
Yeah. And
so you had the doctor, she said that you had stage 4, and she didn't even know. You ended up having stage 3.
Yeah.
So what type of cancer did you have?
I had stage 3 ovarian cancer.
Okay.
Which the doctors told me that the strength that I got was something that you don't see in a 49-year-old woman. You see in a 75-year-old plus woman. Oh, my
goodness. Okay.
So they did genetic testing, and they had asked me if my mom had cancer. My mother died really young at 49, allergic reaction to a medication. Okay. So I don't know if she would have lived longer if she would have had cancer, and then my sister and I would have been more aware of it.
Yes.
But like I said, I had symptoms for a year and a half, and the doctors ignored me and told me it was perimenopausal. And I'm like, and I obviously have never been through menopause or perimenopause, so I don't know, and every story is different. Every woman's journey with menopause is totally different. So I had no idea, but there was that nagging feeling in me. I'm like, something's not right. So that's why I kept on going to a different doctor. Okay, this doctor's not going to help me. I'm going to go to the next field, and so on and so on.
Yes.
And which I'm glad for, because if I ever try to go after the HMO, there's a history there, and that's what one of the doctors said. I don't understand what went wrong. You did everything right. You were asking. You did everything right.
And that's one of the things that I love, that she told you did everything right.
I did everything. Because you start blaming yourself, like, what did I do? Did I eat too many red candy with red 40, which causes cancer? Like, I live in a town where there's a lot of sun, and plantations and stuff like that. But
you take your vitamin D.
And I take my vitamin D because I love to go walking and stuff. But I was like, so when she said you did everything right, that was a little bit of a pat in the back, because I'm like, okay, it's not like I didn't go to the doctor once every 10 years. I would go every 6 months for my physicals and everything. So I guess deep
you
down,
did
I
your
knew
part.
I did my part.
You did your part. And what I love is that you did your part and you let God do his part. And you let the doctors do their part. They did that. Once you finally got, and you never gave up. You said something's, and you knew your body. You recognized something's not right with my body.
Yeah.
You did your part. You went back. And even though they said they don't see anything, you continued to go. And I love that you... And I know that you said you were angry with the doctor, but that's because you were kind of in an emotional state at that point. But I love that the doctor said, we're going to do something about this.
Yeah.
I love that she said, this was not done properly, but I'm going to make sure that something's done about this. I love that she said, so this doesn't happen to someone else.
Yeah.
And I believe because you were so diligent, so you were so like, no, I'm going to find out what's going on. I know something's wrong with my body.
Yeah.
And I believe if we, as women, can pay attention more to our body, and that's important. My mother taught me when I was younger, pay attention to your body, Robin. Pay attention. And I really do pay attention to my body.
Yeah.
So I'm proud of you for that, and I'm proud that you were diligent and you was consistent. You went and so that's great. I believe that you did all that you can do, and you left it in the hands of the doctors, and you left it in the hands of God, and God healed you.
Yeah, because there's a point where you realize you have to surrender. You have to surrender your vanity, your fears, everything, and then you have to realize you have no control. You have to just go day by day, do what you're told to do, be healthy, have faith. And I kept on telling myself that you're not going down this way. You're not going to go down. And I said, in the hell I'm going to die when I'm bald. I am not going to die bald.
Exactly. I love that.
I kept on telling myself. And once again, I know I shouldn't put that much emphasis in my vanity and stuff like that. But when my mother passed away, it's funny. It's funny now I can think about it because she's been gone for almost 20 years. And she had a really bad perm right before she passed away because she passed away suddenly. So when we were standing over the casket, me and my dad and my sister, and I told my dad, I didn't want to bring this up, but what happened to Mom's hair? Because it was like a poodle.
Oh, wow.
And then he starts laughing and goes, she got a really bad perm. And then I'm like, oh, Mom's going to be so mad. She knew she died like this with her bad perm. And then we giggled, even though my mom was, because that's how my family is. We laugh about things, even though. And then my dad was like, yeah, she's probably really mad right now that everyone's seeing her with this bad perm because she didn't want to leave the house because she had this really bad perm.
Wow.
So, and to me, I said, I am not dying bald. My mom died with a bad perm. I am not going to die bald.
I love that.
That I told myself, I just have to tell myself little things. And I crack myself up sometimes. I'm that person that...
You have to have a sense of humor.
I have to laugh.
Yes.
You know, I mean, cancer's not nothing to laugh at, but I believe...
Humor. But you can... Yes.
And the positive energy and believing in stuff. And that's what people kept on telling me even strangers, when I would go to the market or whatever, and some people would help me or whatever, I would start talking. And I had a port that was sticking out like nasty. Yes. And people would say, are you okay? I said, oh, no, I have cancer. No big deal. And they would say, you don't look like you have cancer. And I said, okay, well, I have no hair underneath hair. You know, and these are fake lashes that I have on. And they said, no, but he goes, you don't look like you have cancer.
I love that. And I love that they were speaking life over you as well.
Yeah, and they were saying, your coloring looks great. You know, you're still laughing. You're still moving around. He goes, you know, they said, you know, my sister, my aunt, they looked horrible during the process. And I said, I just told him, I still want to remember how to laugh. Yes. I don't want to forget how to laugh during this time. Because even during the tragic times, I believe in laughing about things. Or just, that's who I've always been, you know. Yes. And a little note, if I can do a little public announcement. When people tell you they have cancer, when I told people I had cancer, the one thing everyone always said to me, and it was a head scratcher to me, it was like, my mother died of cancer. My dad died of cancer. That was everybody's response. And I'm guilty of that too. When before I had cancer, if someone told me, I'm like, oh, my cousin had it, you know. And I'm thinking, why do we tell people the negative part when someone tells you they have cancer? Why do we tell them someone died from it? So now I told myself, and I tell everybody when I have a chance to, when someone tells you they have cancer, don't tell them someone, you know, died of cancer. You tell them, how are you doing?
Exactly.
You got this.
You got this. That's it.
Don't tell them such and such died of cancer. Because every time someone told me that was a kick in my heart. Yes. Because I'm here trying my hardest, trying to fight.
Fighting.
And I'm my own personal cheerleader. And I have my girlfriends and my family here telling me, you're the smallest one in the family, but you're the one that we want in a dark alley.
Yes,
because you're a fighter.
Exactly.
So that really would start pissing me off when people would tell me that.
I love that, and that you shared that so you can encourage other people to tell people, you got this.
You got this. That's all you got to say. Don't tell them my grandmother died of cancer.
No,
she had it really bad. You don't want to know, because we all know when you hear the word cancer, you automatically go to the dark side. That's it. You're going to die or whatever. And, cancer has come a long way.
Yes.
I still, honestly, in my heart, believe there is a cure, but maybe people are hiding it because it costs more. I mean, they make more money keeping us sick, in a sense. But I really, that was like the hardest thing. It was just people's negativity towards cancer. And then I'm like, I'm going to try to flip it around. Yes, it's a death of your body and the cancer.
Yes.
But it's a rebirth of who you are.
Yes.
After this.
Yes.
You're like a flower.
Yes.
Who is dormant, and you're going to bloom when everything's over. You're going to have new hair, new attitude. And that's one thing, is that once I had that moment with the light, the sun rays, from that point on, every time I got in the car, I felt like it was my favorite song playing on the radio. And I felt happy, and I felt like I'm alive. Like, even driving to Target was like, it brought me so much joy.
That's good.
Because I was happy that I was here, and I'm going to keep staying here so I can have more trips to Target.
That's
But it's just all about energy. And then even now, when I went back to work, people are like, "You had cancer?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Why would I lie about having cancer?" I mean, I'm sure there's some people out there who are messed up in the head for that, but I just decided I was going to keep on laughing, have a positive, and not let cancer steal any more time for me.
Exactly.
Because it was stealing time. I'm like, no, this is, and then you also get this awakening of how, wow, we're only here for a short period of time. And you have no control when you're going to go.
Yes.
So I tell myself, if I have 5 years, 20 years, or 30 years,
yes,
I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to love every day. I'm going to thank the Lord every morning when I get up. And when I go to night, I'm going to thank him for giving me this day of today.
Yes.
And giving me the day of tomorrow, the gift of tomorrow.
That's good.
It's a gift. And once you realize that, because, we get into the hustle and bustle,
Yes.
you forget, you don't have to be here. Like, anything can take you out. You're not guaranteed that you're going to live to 80 and not have anything going wrong with you. So after this experience, I appreciate things a lot more. I appreciate my chosen family, which is my friends. I appreciate riding in my car, the sun, and I know, and I always knew, like, I've had my son was born 3 months early, so I had that, and I had my relationship with God during that time, because I prayed every day. And in my head, when my son was born that young, that early, he was born 3 months early, and he was a 2-pounder. Wow. I would tell myself, are these the sins? Am I paying for my sins? When I was a little girl and I lied or I snuck out of the house.
God doesn't work like, people think that, but God doesn't work like that.
But in my head, I was like telling myself that. And then my mother had already passed away 5 years before my son was born. And then there was one night where my son stopped breathing and he turned purple. And the nurse accidentally flipped it, because the buzzers go off all the time, and you turn it off, and it turns on after a certain period of time. But the timing was, she turned it off, and I looked down, and had all these wires on him, and he was turning purple on me. And I go, nurse. And then they took him from me, and they started doing CPR on him.
He's a miracle.
Yeah.
Look at God had a miracle, that he did a miracle right in.
Yeah, and I was
praying. The fact that you saw that, though.
Yeah. And
on time.
And I was praying to everybody, and I prayed to my mom. Because I know she always wanted me to be a mom, but she passed away before she saw me. I said, Mom, if you're in here, you can't take him. You can't take him to the light with you. He needs to stay here. And then he started breathing. He was normal. And I had this one particular nurse who was lovely, and she was nice. She took me outside because I was just out of it. At that time, I was out of it.
You were scared. Like, can you imagine?
Yeah. And so she told me and I was like, is there going to be any brain damage? Because he wasn't breathing. And they said, no, he was only gone for, they said 15 seconds. Not gone, but like stopped breathing.
Yeah, because so who turned the light on again?
It was a nurse, and she's not working there anymore. That she turned off the alarm, and it turns back on like within 3 minutes of itself. It turns back on.
Okay.
But at that time, he stopped. It was just the timing. She turned it off and everything, but then I found out she was no longer there. But this is another story that I believe in the power of God, is that my son came home on September 6th. and he was home, and I didn't get to say goodbye to all the nurses because the day that you go home is the nurse that is working with you that day. So I didn't get a chance to say goodbye to this one particular nurse who actually saved my son's life. I never had a chance to thank her for it. And I thought I'm never going to see her, but I'm thinking, well, that's what they do. This is what they sign up. They help babies, and they're just grateful that they get to leave. When my son was 7 years old, 7 years after he got released to hospital, I took him to Disneyland on a Tuesday. And I took him out of school. I said, we're going to have a day at Disneyland. And getting to Disneyland was hell because my battery died in my car.
Wow.
And I already told my son, we're going to Disneyland. So I had to wait for AAA to come jump my car. And then we get there, and there was a bomb scare at LA Unified at that time. So all the schools in LA Unified were going to be closed down that day. I'm like, oh my God, everyone's going to take their kids to Disneyland. And here I am thinking I'm going to do that. We get to Disneyland, the parking lot's closed. We had to go 2 miles away and get shuttled in. And I'm like, oh my God, this is taking me forever to get to this happiest place. And we go in, and you pay that $150 each to get in there. We go in there, and then this lady, I didn't even see her because I'm pushing my little boy in front of me, and she goes, do you mind if we do a survey? And I'm like, oh, I just want to get into here. And then she goes, can I ask you a couple questions? Where are you from? Blah, blah, blah. What city? Blah, blah, blah. And then she goes, what's your name, son? And Jackson goes, Jackson. And she goes, were you born at Torrance Memorial Hospital? And as soon as I saw her, I'm like, oh my God, it was the nurse that saved my son's life. That I wanted to give her a personal hug and everything. And one night when she was my night nurse, she had told me that she was older. She goes, I'm pretty much finished with this stage of my life. And after this, I want to get a job like at Disneyland. Something where there's no stress, no nothing. I want to retire and just work a couple of days at Disneyland, be like a greeter or something. I'm like, oh, that's great, And for me, all those people that go through Disneyland after they pay, for that lady who was working to stop me and to ask me that, and I looked at her and I just gave her the biggest hug.
You were able to give her the hug.
I go, I never got a chance, and you were the one nurse that I wanted to say thank you.
Isn't that amazing how God does that? And she knew who he was and knew who you were.
Yeah, because I probably didn't change, but obviously he was, a 6-pound baby when we left the hospital. But she's like, what's your name? Jackson. She said,
and she
Jackson.
knew his name.
Yeah.
That's why she said, if this little baby's name is Jackson.
Yeah, because she knew my name, Catina, is not a very common name. And I just gave her the biggest hug, and I took a picture, and I tagged us on Facebook. And while we were waiting one of the lines, I wrote down the whole story on Facebook, ran into it is the happiest place. But the universe gave me her to give her the hug and the thank you that I wanted her to.
I wanted to give her in the hospital, but you thought was taken away from you, but it wasn't. But can I share something? Me and the numbers again.
Yeah.
So he was taken from he was released 9, which is fullness finality, right?
Yeah.
6 is man. He went home.
He did.
For man. But God is so good because 7, his 7th year, guess what 7 means? Perfection and completion.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So you was able to complete that desire.
And I cried. I literally cried because it was happy tears. I'm so, I thought I was going to go the rest of my life without thanking you because I'm forever grateful for you.
And you was able to complete that desire that you had, and it was perfected through God.
Yeah.
Isn't he amazing?
And it's another thing is funny that where I work, as you know, I had another nurse that was my day nurse.
Wow.
Who worked at a broadsheet with me. And then we looked at each other, and I'm like, she goes, Jackson's mom? Because they know the babies, because the thing. And I said, yes. I'm like, oh my God, Kara. And I was so happy. So I'm like, the 2 of my favorite nurses that I thought I would never see again came into my in my life in one point or another. She worked with us for about a year or 2, and then she went on her own. And but when I took that picture and I tagged Disneyland and I guess somebody at Disneyland watches social media for every time it's tagged. Well, they put that picture of me and my nurse. I don't want to say her name in case she doesn't want to. Our nurse put it on the website for Disneyland. It went to the Disneyland newsletter. It went to corporate office.
I love it.
It went to Tokyo, Europe, Australia. It went to every single Disneyland as their headliner for their corporate monthly letter. So I was like, my little story, and they said, the happiest place, Disneyland brings people together. And I honestly felt that because, I was grateful. And then she asked me if I could go to her church because she said, we always pray for all these kids, for all this NICU, intensive NICU babies. So I said, I would love for my congregation to see one of the childs that they pray for every week. How can I not go?
Yes.
So I took my son. My ex, his father was not very happy about that because he's an atheist.
Okay.
So that's another reason why one of many reasons why we did not last.
Yes.
And I told him I'm taking him here, and we're going to talk about how she wanted me to talk about how he was stopped breathing and how she helped him bring him back to life by doing CPR on him, and I was praying and everything, and he was like giving me that side eye. I'm like, you know what? This lady saved his life.
Yes.
The other nurse didn't come to me. She came to me.
Yes.
When I said, nurse, she was the first one that came to me.
Yes.
I'm going to let her. She did that. And I honestly believe that
it was divine. It was divine.
It was meant to be this way. And I was meant to meet her and say thank you in person and give her a loving hug that I always thought about her. In those 7 years, I always thought about her.
Yes.
That I never got to say thank you to her. So now... And then my son loved it. He went there. We talked. We went to her church. They all like, Jackson, we know your name and stuff. So he felt happy. He goes, Mom, that's great, huh? I go, yeah, she saved your life, honey. I go, so always remember that you're a lucky child because your life was saved several times in that NICU by nurses.
Yes. Jackson is a blessing. And I love how you said, I am Jackson's mom. Are you Jackson's mom?
Yeah,
Are you Jackson's mom?
And that's what, as a woman, when you have kids, you feel like you lose your identity. Sometimes you're not that person anymore.
You embrace it.
Yeah, I embrace it because I always wanted, and also because my son fought for 97 days in the NICU before I brought him home. I'm thinking,
you see all these numbers?
Well, now yes, now that you tell me that, the 9 and the 7, yes. 97 days he spent the time at the hospital. And every single day I was there for 10, 12 hours a day. Wow. I would just go home, eat, take a shower, get up at 7 o'clock. I'll get up at 6 because the doctor shift is at 7 in the morning and 7 at night. And that's the only time I got to see the doctors was at 7 o'clock. The nurses... were the ones that were holding my hand, helping me, telling me it's okay to cry, he's going to be okay, answering every question that I thought were maybe silly or something. They were the angels in that NICU. Yes. Doctors came and I didn't have a connection with the doctors. I was grateful, but I didn't have a connection with them. I had a connection with the nurses.
That's beautiful.
So
that's beautiful. I love your testimony.
Thank you.
You're such a blessing. Would you like to leave them with anything today, like something special that you want to leave?
Don't give up and believe in prayer because he is listening.
Yes.
He is listening. And it might not show right away. It might be hidden in other little things. You just have to open up your heart and see it coming in because I honestly believe that in that morning when I woke up, I honestly believe the hands of God and all the prayers were all just lingering above me because I literally... never felt that before, and it took away all my it literally, like in that first thing that comes to mind is the Little Mermaid when she loses her voice, and that you see in the cartoon it comes out it's like a jewel being pulled out. That's how I kind of felt that morning, that all my fears and everything and that dark ball was just magically pulled away from me, and then I had that darkness went away, and I have the white light in me that I believe that it healed me. And I thanked every single person that I knew in my heart actually was praying for me. Like I said,
I love that.
Not some people
everybody
say
it, but they don't mean it.
They don't mean it. But these particular women, and one of the women I met in the NICU.
Wow.
And we remained friends. We lost track of each other, but our kids ended up being in El Segundo kindergarten, and she had to have a special transfer. I had just moved in 2 days before kindergarten started, and we see each other.
Beautiful.
And then we became really good friends, and she's one of my best Christian mama friends. And we always say how we found each other. We were both at that time in the same situation, same age. Kids were same tiny little boys. And we bonded there, and then we found each other, and our kids were going to elementary school together.
That's beautiful.
So we were very grateful how I always told her, the universe brought us together because we needed each other.
God will bring you together. He really will.
And she moved to Orange County now, but we still see each other and we still talk because we get it. We're both single moms. We get it and we help each other out because, there's a difference between a single mom and a mom is a mom regardless.
Yes.
But a single mom and a mom that has a spouse in the house, they have more help. They might not think they do, but at the end of the day, you have a body.
You have an extra body.
You have a body. So, like when you're a single mom, you had to take a shower. You bring the baby in the carrier with you in the bathroom. You open up the shower curtain so you can make sure he's breathing.
Yes.
A mom can give that baby to the dad at least to know that he's there. So
that's beautiful.
I was so
it's different. There is a
it's
difference.
different. You're still a mom regardless.
Yes.
But the weight is a little bit heavier when you're a single mom, and that's another subject for a thing. But as a single mom, I felt that I had to raise my son better than a mom that has a husband in the house, because I always felt society's going to judge me for being a single mom, not knowing my situation, that I was with his dad for 10 years, knowing that we knew that we were done with that part, but we weren't done being parents. We were meant to be Jackson's parents.
Yes.
We weren't meant to be a couple anymore, because we had our run, our 10-year run. But I always feel that I have to be better than the other mom because I'm being judged for being a single mom.
Yes. Wow. Well, I love you. I love you, and I thank you so much for sharing your testimony.
Oh, thank you.
This was beautiful. And I think that even though you are a mom and you go through things, you are showing the strength that even you are a single mother, but you still have the strength, and it's a blessing that you still have that support from your ex-husband. That was a blessing too. That's because of your heart.
Yeah.
Your heart. And I think that I just want to leave us with a little homework today.
Okay.
So we have a little homework. Try to give homework after each one. She said, I want you to really see yourself as I am. She said a lot, I'm chosen. I am, and she said, you're her chosen friends. And I am healed. So I want you to just see yourself, if you're going through different things, see yourself as chosen. Say, I am chosen and I am healed. And I think that's so important, that we see ourselves as being chosen and healed. And even though we are chosen, we have people who come along us in our life, in our journey, that are chosen to be part of that journey. How the nurses was chosen to be part of your journey.
Yeah.
You have your friend who came and you guys ate hamburgers together. And some would say hamburgers, but those hamburgers was giving you the protein that you needed and the iron that you needed, to get through your chemo. And it made you happy. It made you happy at the time. So
we were laughing during chemo, and the nurses like, you guys have such a positive energy, and they would come in and talk to us, And at that time, I was happy, but then you can see through the curtain another one getting chemo, and they're just with their eyes closed. They're by themselves, or their partner is reading the newspaper and not interacting with them, just letting them rest. And there was times where I just wanted to rest.
Because it depends on it. And there probably were times that you were able to rest, too. So it makes sense.
Yeah,
but you have that support.
And I'm grateful. And if I can tell somebody, if you ever get diagnosed, do not give up.
Do not give up.
Even if they tell you you're stage 4 and you're terminal, do not give up.
Exactly.
You don't, and then whatever the situation comes, that gift of today is yours.
I have so many people who had stage 4 cancer and they made it. They're still here today. So like you said, don't give up. Just because you have stage 4 cancer doesn't mean you have to give up. You still believe that God can heal you and fight. That's the key. Never stop fighting and don't lose your joy. I noticed the people who kept the joy and who kept that positive attitude, they're still here.
Yeah.
But some of the ones who just got, tired of the fight and just gave up, a lot of those people are not here anymore.
And that's one of my oncologist, who I love to death. And that's another little miracle, how I got to see him through the universe, just mixing an old friend of mine with her old college roommate who they haven't seen each other in years. They ran into each other, and she told her about my story. She goes, get her out of this HMO, bring her to UCLA. She got me in, and there was a 2-year waiting list for this particular doctor, because he's head of gynecology oncologist, and he does all the research. He got me in. The bill was $1,700 for a consultation. He waived the fee. I got the bill. He said, give it to me. I'll pay it. I'll waive it off. He did. And he's just the best doctor I could ever, and he's grateful. And every time I went in there, he would tell me, are you sure you have cancer? And because I would go in and I'm like, hey, how are you? Instead of being gloomy, because he goes, you have you're happy. I go, well, I'm done with chemo. I'm one day, I got one more chemo to go. Why am I not happy? I got one more to go. I came this long.
Yes.
So, but it's just your attitude about things. And people helping you, and don't shut off. Don't get angry and shut your soul down. You cannot shut your soul.
You cannot. You
got to leave your soul open. You have to let it survive. You know, and that's what I kept on telling myself.
Amen.
You're not going down like this, girl. You're not going to go down.
You're not going down. Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you, sweetie.
You're welcome.
Thanks again, Catina. You are such a blessing.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad I'm here. I wouldn't spend any other Sunday. I was looking forward to this since you and I talked about it, because I wanted to get it out and let other people hear that, you know.
And I believe that your testimony would change lives. I believe that the joy you had, the fight that you had, and the determination that I will make it through this for Jackson, because I am Jackson's mom.
Yeah.
That I'm going to make it through this. And I really believe that it's going to change lives to have hope. We have to have hope. You are just such a blessing. And every time I see you in passing in the marketplace, you're just a joy.
Oh,
you have this joy in your heart and through your eyes, this gloom like joy and radiance. So I'm super excited that I was able to have you come on, and you said yes. And you were able to share your testimony. Thank you so much for tuning in to Faith Over Facts. I am super excited. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, and to leave a comment if you like. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Faith Over Facts. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We have new episodes every Friday. If you would like to support the ministry by donating or purchasing Faith Over Facts merch, please do so by visiting my website, RobinReneeMinistries.com. See you next time. Bye-bye.